All right, fetch it up. Good boy, Raz. Good boy. Yeah.
That is Jerry Jenkins and old Raz, and he's one of the puppies we used in this video. These puppies are out of field trial stock, and we used them to prove that most any dog can be taught to handle birds. Of course, a lab bred to point would have been a little easier to work with. I'm Bill West, and I've trained pointers and setters for over 40 years. My method teaches a dog to handle birds and not wool point, because we ain't going to always be there around when the dog's around game to tell him to wool. This method is very simple, but there's things that's very subtle, and you'll have to watch it 3 or 4 times maybe to pick it up. And before you start training your dog, you better watch this tape several times to be sure you got the whole idea. This is the same method I use in pointers and setters, and it'll work on any dog as long as he likes birds well enough to go out and hunt them. Okay. I hope you enjoy this video and it makes you a better dog trainer.
Little lab puppy's only about 4 months old. I've let him chase 1 or 2 birds, and he's kind of a natural retriever. First thing you got to do with a lab is get him crazy enough about birds that he'll take training. If you try to train him too quick, in other words, without letting him get excited over birds, it's not like a retriever, it's a different situation. So you have to encourage him to really want those birds, and when you do that, then he will respond to training. Otherwise, if you don't get him built up in his courage and everything to want to chase birds, then you won't be able to break him, more than likely. Now, you might teach him to wool point, but there's a difference between wool pointing when you walk up there and tell him whoa and stop him, because you're not going to be there all the time to tell him whoa when you're working dogs and you're out there and he's hunting on his own. So what you got to do is let him get all fired up about these birds. Then you can start training him. Now this little lab is a little bit young to start training him, but at least you can get him crazy over birds. And if you can see here now, he can actually smell that bird over yonder. In other words, and he can smell it. The wind's blowing that way and that bird's way over there. But he can actually smell that bird. If you turn him loose, you watch him go over there now. You understand what I mean? He could actually get the scent of that bird from here. If you turn him loose, he'll go right over there to that bird. But this is what you got to do with a young lab puppy. In other words, let him, I don't mean let him catch birds forever, but let him get really fired up over him, then you can start working him, and then you can get him to handle birds. Otherwise, you probably just destroy. Now this is what we call a spike collar. That's a name that we call it, but it's not spikes, it's Hornish brads, and they're dull on the end,
They doesn't hurt a dog. They don't break the skin or anything. Now they make some that has regular tacks in it, like roofing tacks. Now those things are severe, and you really don't need that with a dog, and I'll tell you the reason why. You take this one right here, and you put it on a dog, young dog, and he starts pulling you around. You just let him get out there like that, and every time he puts too much pressure on, just give him a jerk like that, and then just let the slack back out. And you just jerk him like that and let the slack. And every time he starts to put too much pressure, then directly you got him out here hunting in front of you, and he won't be dragging you around. This is where it all starts. Is this rope and this collar here. You can't train a dog with this here. You can ruin him with this here, but this right here, you teach him what you want him to do, and you can stop him because you have a check line. You don't need a check line 100 yards long, because this is like a bridle bit on a horse, that if your reins is up here, you have no control. If you have 40 foot of rope out here, you have no control. And a dog will catch a bird on you, and he'll run around and wrap you up and fall down and everything else. This is a nice size right here. This is plenty long. You could even do it with one less than this, but this is a nice size right here. This is really a nice rope. It's made well, it has the right kind of stuff. This is what we call a rope that's kind of special made for this purpose. I'm not going to tell you that it's mountain climbing rope. I'm going to tell you that this is a special rope made for bird dogs, you know what I mean? And the reason we have it stiff is because if you turn him loose and he's running around through the brush, this won't wrap around a bush like a regular rope will. These things will get a little bit stiffer as you use them, and a dog running through the brush, it'll go right around it and it won't wrap around it. And it won't wrap around your feet as bad. So these are the things right here. You don't need a lot of gimmicks and everything. All you need is this right here and this collar right here. You use this first, and this is the extension of this rope where you can stop him over there. I find this to be real good for people that don't have fixed ideas on how to break dogs, and they always hollering whoa and jerking them around and kicking them and slamming them on the ground and everything. That has nothing to do with dog training. It's I count it a form of abuse. In other words, there's a better way of doing it. You don't have to do that to dogs. In other words, you teach them, you show them, and you're good to them, and you're always petting them. That's hard for people to do. They get out here and the dog makes a little mistake, the anger starts building up, and the first thing you know, he's jerking and snatching and threatening the dog and everything, and it's not done that way. You got to work calm around the dog, and that way he'll accept you and he won't fight you, and you'll have a better dog. This jerking and snatching is all frustration. It has nothing to do with dog training. This collar here is the extension of this rope. If he runs out there and does something wrong, you can stop him with the collar. Not by squalling and hollering at him, but you just stop him like you would if you had the rope here. When you're teaching the dog to stop and not chase birds, you don't holler whoa at him, because if you do, you'll make him blink. In other words, whoa is the worst abused word in dog training. Everybody says whoa, whoa, the dog's running loose, and the dog runs out here and they holler, whoa, come back here, whoa. He don't whoa and he don't come back either. What have you taught the dog? You haven't taught him nothing but a bunch of bad habits. So this thing here, you train him with this, you teach him what to do, and then you introduce him to the collar, and you use this here in a proper manner because it's an extension of this rope.
Couldn't expect him to do any better than that the first time or two. So this is a pretty good lesson for him. We shot a bird. He didn't know what he was doing, but he retreated because he kind of come natural to him. But you see there now, he chased up 3 or 4 birds. Then he began to want to stop. And this is the idea. You let him run them up, and directly he'll want to stop, and you teach him to get your hands on him and start handling him. You probably never look like Redwater Rex, but you get him handling birds. This dog, this puppy that I just worked, you know, he doesn't know anything. But he's finding out now, if I run at that bird, I almost get it, but for some reason I can't catch it. So he's learning if I charge it, it's going to fly away. So direct I let him up there, and you see him start to hesitate because he knew if he run in, the thing was going to fly. And that's the way a wild bird would be, see? So he learns he can't catch it because I'm stopping him. I let him catch the birds at the start, which I think you got on film. And I let him catch birds because I want him to get crazy about them, see? And then I shot the blank pistol when they were chasing out there. This is the first time for a shotgun. I wanted the situation right because I didn't want a bird just fly up and shoot it. That didn't teach him anything. You see what I mean? So I let him go up there, and he kind of stopped and hesitate. He started to move. I just give him a little tug like this. You see the little dog stand there? Now he did try to jump around when Ken went in there to kick the bird up, which that's all right. He doesn't know to stand still. But later on, when I teach him to stand still, he'll stand there and let Ken kick that bird up. If I go up there and just tell him whoa and lead him up there on them pigeons, he's going to look like crap. He ain't going to want to point. You see what I mean? He's just going to, and he'll be trying to root them up. He's learning this way to handle birds. This is different what a lot of people don't understand, teaching a dog to handle birds and whoa point. Everybody wants to lead him up there and tell him whoa and just break him to whoa, and wherever he stops him at, why that's where the dog will stand. But I want a dog to go up there and point the bird and stand there without having to tell him whoa. Because I ain't going to be over yonder when the dog will find a bird. I ain't going to have a chance to tell him whoa, but I'm going to teach him to handle birds. That's what he's supposed to do. And we start out with these little old dogs, which I think Dave probably got in his tape, and I've been doing it for years. The first one I think that started the thing was teach them to stand still before you teach them what whoa is. Then you don't have to keep saying whoa and setting him back and whoa and setting him back. Because when you teach him to stand still, and then you lead him out like this and tell him whoa, and you give him a little slack, give him a chance to take a step. If he does, you just correct him like that and walk away. You tell him one time. And then you're always coming back to him, and you're putting your hands on him, and that's what lets a dog build character in him, because you go back to him time after time after time, and you're doing like this, and you're petting him, and directly he'll relax around you, and he'll hold his tail up and look good, and that's just part of the training. This is probably worth $20. I had a lot of money. But this guy here is a rich owner. That's him laughing right here. I'm gonna work this little old lab here now, and we'll see. We're going to start out kind of teaching him to stand, and we've given him, I think, 2 lessons in standing. And we're going to put the collar on him. We're not going to use the collar on him because he doesn't know anything about electric collar. He doesn't know to stand. He doesn't know anything, really. Only I've let him chase some birds around, let him catch some pigeons, and a shot around him. He's not gun shy. So now he's ready to start training. Now, we're not going to try to break this dog. We're going to try to train him. When you talk about breaking a dog, a lot of guys will let him go, and they make all kind of mistakes, And the first thing you know, he says, I'm going to break him. Then he starts pounding on him and jerking him and messing with him. But we're going to train this dog, and it's going to take a process of doing it. It'll be a while before it's done, but this is the way it started. You teach him out here like this, and I like to call a dog by his name, but incidentally, I haven't even given these pups a name yet. I'm open to suggestions of whatever we might want to call them. But I'm going to teach him to come to me. Come here. Come here. Come here. And every time he comes here, I'm going to pet him. I'll show you how quick. This dog has never been taught now to come here or nothing. Now watch this. Come here. Come here. I'm going to let him go, and I'm going to back up here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. See how quick they respond? And that's, they learn that real quick. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. And every time he comes to me, I'm going to pet him. So now, reason he's going to come to me because it's kind of punishment out there, but when he comes here to me, I'm going to pet him. He don't mind coming to me. But if I didn't pet him, just call her, come here and jerk him to me, and I didn't pet him, directly he wouldn't want to come to me. But this way, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Over here. Come here. Come here. Now watch him. He wants to sit down. And I'm going to break him with this right off the start. I'm going to make him get up. Now watch this. Every time he gets up, I'm going to pet him. I'll shove down on him, try to shove him back down there. Come here. Now this is actual fact now. We haven't messed with this puppy any about teaching him to come here or anything. This is the first lesson he's had. Now we've worked him twice. Ken worked him once and I worked him once on making him stand. So now we're going to see how much good he did. It did just 2 times. These labs are super smart dogs. I'm going to turn him around here where you can see a little better. Now he knows that he saw Ken go over there, and we've let him chase some pigeons, and he wants to turn around now and look toward that pigeon. But now you watch me. I'm going to insist that he don't, and he's going to try to lean into me and everything else. So I'm going to work with him here and make him stand still. I'm going to pet him. I'm going to stay close to him when I first start working him because I want him to stand here and I want to be able to correct him. Every time he moves a foot, I want to be able to just give him a little jerk and straighten him up and make him stand here. And I'm not going to tell him whoa because he don't know what whoa is. But I'm going to teach him that I want him to stand still and not be moving his feet, not be doing anything on paying attention to what I'm wanting him to do. I'll get his head in a position like this, I'll pet it. Now watch him look around, I'll bang him like this, and I'll put that head back like this, and then I'll get it in position, I'll pet him. I don't want him looking back at me because when he's doing that, he's not paying attention to me, see? And he's looking back at me for sympathy. I don't care if he looks off over yonder because he saw a bird over there, but I don't want him looking around curling his head up to me. Now, if there wasn't no birds out here or something and I was working him, and there wasn't nothing to distract him, I'd make him keep his head in a certain position. I'd make him keep it like this, and you can make them pose by doing them like this, see? And you peck them under the chin and get their head in the right position, jerk him up like this. Now, he would kind of like to look around, but watch his head. He just turn it just a little bit. Kind of keep one eye on me, but he ain't not going to turn his head around. And I'm talking, and that has some distraction. Now, you'd be better off if you're not saying anything. But I want to demonstrate to you that what we do to start a dog off before we ever teach him what whoa is, we're going to have him standing still. So now it's wrong to have a dog go forward, then you tell him whoa, and then set him back. That's backwards. Just think about it. He doesn't know to stand still. He walks forward and you tell him whoa and set him back and he takes a step. That way dogs never plant their feet. They're always moving a foot. And you teach him to stand still, and then when you lead him off like this, up close, and then you tell him whoa. Do him like this. Then you're teaching him to whoa. Now he'll stand still, see, he won't keep moving. And you don't have to keep saying whoa and setting him back and setting him back. In other words, he knows to keep them feet still. But when you tell him whoa, and you lead him forward like this, and you tell him whoa, then you give him a little slack, and if he starts to move, you just correct him with this here, this way, then you just walk away from him. Now, you see how quick this puppy's learning to keep his feet still? In other words, it's so simple to do. You don't need all these gimmicks. All you need to do is work with the dog right here. You don't get away from him and try to do this too fast. I do it a lot of times this way, just showing out. But really, you shouldn't. If you don't know how, you shouldn't try to do that all at once. I take a pup out here and in 5 minutes have him doing this. But most people can't do that. If you try it, you're liable to get in a can of worms. So it's better to take a little time and teach them, because you're not going to do everything till you have some experience at it. You're not going to get the job done, more than likely. But watch him now. He sit down, and I'm gonna make him get up. But just kick him like this. When he gets up, I'll shove down on him like this, and I'll straighten him up like this, and I'll just walk away. Now this pup ain't gonna be scared of me. Now watch him sit down again. Now that's kind of nature of this dog, because he's never been taught to sit, but he always wants to sit down. And you'll find that more in labs than any other kind of dog, because this is part of their inheritance they got from their parents, that their parents have been taught to sit, and they've been taught to retrieve, and they're kind of a natural retriever. That's his suit. And as far as marking birds, you take this little puppy right now will outmark a grown pointer when he comes to birds. You can shoot a bird and he can fall way out there on those weeds out there, and this puppy will go right straight out there to it. If he sees him fly over there in light, he can go right straight to him. Pointer, you know, will go ripping down through and run halfway, go to hunting around, and then go on out and maybe run by him and go 100 yards the other side. But these labs has got good eyes, and that's the reason that they're good retrievers. From the time I start working these puppies and put a check line on them, I always let them wear the electric collar. The reason I do this is so every time I work him, I have the collar on him. And I do this a little different than some people, because if I put the collar on him every time I work him, it's nothing new on his neck. So the time that I want to use it on him, it's nothing new. But if you put something new on his neck and then you use it on him, immediately he recognizes something new on his neck. So I do it a little bit different. Instead of leaving the Dummy collar on him. Every time I work a pup, when I start out, I start putting the collar on him. To introduce the dog to the collar, the way I do it, I just have him out here in the field and I teach him to come to me with the rope. And I'll tell him, come here, like this, and the pup comes to me. Every time he does, I pet him. Then when I'll step away from him and I'll say, come here, and he'll get where he'll come to me, see? And then directly I'll have him over here like this, and then I'll reach up, touch him with low intensity. I got one of these here Radartron collars. It has low intensity. It's got 6 intensities on it. So I use a low intensity, and he's there like that, and I'll just touch him with the collar and say, come here, and then I pet him. But I've already taught him to come here by pulling the rope. Talk about the electric collar just a little bit. About these young dogs with electric collar, how I introduce them to the collar. I bring them out here and I introduce them to the collar, not on birds but around birds. I want them to know there's birds out here, and then I teach them, put it on low intensity, and I'll take him, and first I start off with the dog and I'll teach him like this. Come here, come here. Every time he comes to me, I pet him, straighten him up and pet him. And that's part of the styling him up, see? If you just call him to you and him crouch you down and everything, then that's the way he's gonna be. So you want to pet him. Every time you correct him and he comes to you, you want to pet him and handle him, because that's what puts the style in the dog. And the way I do it, I'll have the dog like this, and then I'll just step back with low intensity, and instead of pulling the rope, I'll just punch this collar, just touch him with the collar and say, come here. This dog here, he pointed that bird, but when I went in there, he kind of loosened up, which you're going to have some when you're first doing that. But if you see him there, he kind of loosened up, leaned forward. I just touched him with the collar. When I did, you see him kind of jump back. Now, if you do that to a dog before you had enough training in him, you'd ruin him. But this dog here, he's kind of going to run in there and jump on that bird, and I just touched him with the collar, and he jumped back, and then he tightened up. And you can do that to a dog after you've taught him to handle birds. But if I'd done this to a dog that didn't know, he'd blink birds. But see, he didn't back out of there, and the bird got up and he stood there, watched it fly away. Only instinct a bird dog has is to hunt, and he'll stop on birds. The reason he stops on birds because he says, well, I think it's right there and maybe I can catch it. And he'll creep in and try to catch it. Now that's a kind of a born instinct in a bird dog. It's come down through the years. But everything else we do with a dog is all man-made. Think about it. All of binding you and obedience and over here and wood and all that stuff is man-made. I mean, it's training. It's not, they don't do that on their own, but they do have the instinct to hunt and point a bird. So it's very important that you understand that, because and not get mean with the dog. So if the dog don't understand, just show him one more time, and directly he will understand. This is the greatest thing right here,
And right here, we don't need all this gimmicks and this, that, and the other to train a bird dog. It may look good, but there's a shorter route and a better route with this right here. But you got to work it with this here first. You got to train the dog with this. And this right here is the extension of this rope, because you can control him. You've taught him here, over here with the rope, and he's over yonder, and he here, over here, and he doesn't respond. Just reach up. You know, after you work a dog, you know what kind of electricity that it takes to handle that particular dog. So you just reach up. If he doesn't mind you, you just tickle him with that collar and say, over here, and you'll see him turn. That's all obedience. That's all it is. You've taught him with this here. He knows what it is. So when you use this on him, he doesn't get excited. He'll just turn and go with you. And that's all obedience. Now on this next bird, if it looks like a bird that'll fly good, I'm going to let him run it up. This way he knows if he runs in there, the bird flies away, see? And that's part of the way to get him to stop, because he'll learn if he runs at them, they're going to fly away. If he stands there, they ain't going to get up till somebody kicks them up. Now the reason I let him run at that's what will happen in wild birds, and that's what will make him stop on birds, is letting him do that. Then he'll get where he'll point longer and longer and longer. I don't let him catch one, but I let him, and you watch him, and as this happens, and you teach him to stand still, he'll point longer and longer. But when you're first doing this with a young dog, you don't want to try to make him stand too long, because he don't have that tension span yet, see? And when he takes notion he really wants to handle birds, then you're gonna see a difference. I think this here is gonna make a fine little dog, this one right here.
Now, are you seeing anything out of this? See how this dog now is beginning to want to stop? Wait a minute. I can. Keep him up. Across the road. Now, if you watch now, this puppy here is beginning to think birds. Now, he began to think birds about hunting them, see? Now, you watch him. Now, he can actually see a bird moving off from him there. And he's beginning to want to handle that bird, see? I'm going to let him chase it up if he wants to. Now I'm going to kind of stop him here and just mess with him a minute. And then I'm going to let him move around here and see if I can get another stop on one. Now, I let him stand there a little bit. I don't want him to stand too long and lose his intensity. I'd rather he would jump at the bird. As I go along with the dog, then he'll learn to stay longer and longer. So you don't
You don't want to make a puppy like this stand too long, because it's better for him to put that bird in the air and you just stop him than it is to make him stand there and then loosen up and you're holding on to him. Come in, kick him up, Bill. Come in, kick the bird up. He flew away from him, see? I don't try to make him stand there too quick, because if I get to wooing him, then this dog now is like a cat. He's stopping because he's anticipating that bird's going to get up, but he'd still like to jump on him. But that's all right too. As I keep working him, and he really starts settling down and handling those birds and know he's supposed to handle them, then his tail is going to come up and he's going to look a lot better. Right now he's like a cat. He's pointing at that bird and he says, yeah, he's there, and he's ready to crouch and jump any minute. And that's the reason that he doesn't have the style that he will have. As I go along with this pup, you're going to see him, when he starts handling birds on his own, gets a little older, you're going to see his tail come up and he'll look like a different dog. We're out in, by the Superstition Mountains here in Arizona, and we're out in the desert, and we're going to take these lab puppies. We started with them when they were about 3 months old, and now they're about a year old, and this will be another segment of them and their progress in their training. All right. All right. Here, come here. All right. Put it on off. Come here. Watch where he goes. Ooh.
Now, if you notice, he got the idea that he wasn't supposed to run that thing up. He stopped on it, and then the little old bird got up and started walking around, and the dog just stopped and stood there. Now, he didn't stay real staunch, but later on, as you keep working him, and he starts to handle these birds, he's going to be more staunch, more stylish and everything. And this will come out in the farther along in the training in this little young dog here. But he's kind of getting the message now of what to do. Hi. Hi. Ooh. Fish. Here you go. I went to Nebraska and I saw some dogs up there that really had a little pointing instinct in them. And that would have been better for me if I'd had a dog then. It would have been easier. Because any dog that has a tendency to point is the easier one than that you have to train to point. And so it'd probably been easier for me if I'd had a dog that had some pointing instinct bred in him. But all dogs you can teach them to, if they like game enough to hunt it, you can teach them to handle game. Hi. 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 Where's the bird at there? Now I'm gonna check line him over here this time now. I'm gonna check line him, let him find a bird. I'm gonna let him go right after the bird again. Hi. 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 Stop the flush. You know what I mean? In other words, out here and the birds scattered out that way and they were running away from him and he'd get too close and they'd fly up, and now I got a good stop the flush on him down there. And that's when they do that, when they learn that they can't chase those birds, why then they'll quit bumping them, see? And that's what I call control mistakes. If everything drives you keep a dog from trying to make mistakes, and you don't let him make mistakes, you never really get him broke. You gotta create mistakes with him. Encourage him to make some mistakes, but they're controlled mistakes. The guys that's so hard to change their method of doing things is guys that has trained a dog and he thinks he knows all about dogs. And I'm 74 years old and I don't know all about dogs. So if you haven't been out there with the experience with dogs like this and all kinds of dogs, then you don't have the experience to do what I do. But if you take this and watch it and time after time and go back and go out and work that, if you're mixed up, go back and look at this thing and see if you can't pick up something I'm doing, then you will learn how to do it. If you've not got no preconceived idea. If you think that, oh, well, I'm going to shortcut this because this looks stupid, you may be missing the boat. You may be missing the boat. It may not turn out this way. But if you go out there and consistently do what I do, and I think you'll have pretty good results. I got confidence in it anyway. And, and I hope everybody enjoys it and hope it's helped somebody because, and I think it will be. It's been a lot of fun for me. I got big ego, you know.
You gotta give him the head. He likes the head now.
Well, this has been an experience. This has been a learning experience. Every time I turn around, I've seen something I hadn't seen before.
Well, we got you enjoying it. You're enjoying it.
Like a trip to the zoo.